This lesson helps you understand fractions. A fraction is an expression with two numbers, separated by a horizontal line. The number on top is called the numerator. The number on the bottom is called the denominator. A fraction is used to express or describe parts of something. The fraction 3 over 4 describes 3 parts out of a total of 4 parts. Many things in everyday life come in parts, like the halves and quarters of a basketball game, or the 9 innings of a baseball game. Here's a whole unit, divided into 4 equal parts. One of the 4 parts is 1 out of 4, so it's represented by the fraction 1 over 4, or 1/4. 2 of the parts is represented by the fraction 2 over 4, or 2/4. 3 of the parts is represented by the fraction 3/4, and 4 of the parts is represented by the fraction 4/4. Notice the fraction 4 over 4 is the same as 1. In fact, anytime the numerator and denominator of a fraction are the same, the fraction is equal to 1. This one whole unit can represent any one whole thing, like an apple pie or a carton of milk. For example, let's say this one whole unit represents $100. When divided into 4 equal parts, each part represents $25. So 1/4 of the whole is $25, 2/4 is $50, and 3/4 is $75. For another example, here's a circle. If it's divided into 4 equal parts, one part is 1/4, 2 parts is 2/4, 3 parts is 3/4, and 4 parts is 4/4, which is equal to 1. It's also interesting to notice 1/2 is equal to 2/4. These are called equivalent fractions, which we'll talk about later in the lesson. Here's another way to think about fractions. Here's a group of 6 circles. One of the circles is 1 out of 6, so it's described by the fraction 1 over 6. 4 of the shaded circles are described by the fraction 4 over 6. 2 of the unshaded circles are described by the fraction 2 over 6. When all the fractions are shaded, the fraction is 6 over 6, which is equal to 1, or all of the circles. Here are 2 whole units. Each is divided into 4 equal parts, so each part is 1/4 of a whole unit. 5 of the units is described by the fraction 5 over 4. For this fraction, the numerator is greater than the denominator. When the numerator is greater than the denominator, the fraction is called an improper fraction. You can see from the picture, an improper fraction has a value greater than 1. 5/4 is 4/4, which is 1 whole unit, plus 1 extra. So the fraction 5/4 is equal to 1 and 1/4, which is written like this. When an improper fraction is written this way, it's called a mixed number. A mix of a whole number and a fraction. Here's one whole unit, divided into 8 equal parts. So each part is 1/8. If you divide the unit in half, with 4 units on each side, you can see 4/8 is equal to 1/2. When two different fractions have the same value, they're called equivalent fractions. Here's another example. If you divide the unit into 4 equal parts, you can see 2/8 is equal to 1/4. And the unshaded part of the unit, which is 3/4, is equal to 6/8. This is just the beginning of your friendship with fractions. Here's what's important to take away from the lesson. If you're given a model of a fraction, you need to be able to write a fraction for the shaded or unshaded parts. For this example, there are 3 parts, which is represented by 3 in the denominator. One of the unshaded parts is represented by 1 in the numerator. 2 of the shaded parts is represented by 2 in the numerator. Given a fraction, you need to be able to draw a model using shaded parts. For this example, 5 is the denominator, so there are 5 circles. Since 2 is the numerator, 2 of the circles are shaded. You need to be able to recognize and model improper fractions and mixed numbers. For this example, each circle is divided into 2 equal parts, so 2 is the denominator. Since 3 of the parts are shaded, 3 is the numerator. Since the shaded parts represent one whole unit and another half of a unit, the mixed number is 1 and 1/2. And finally, be able to model equivalent fractions. For this example, the rectangle is divided into 4 equal parts, so 4 is the denominator. Since 2 of the parts are shaded, 2 is the numerator. Also, since 2 of the shaded parts also divide the rectangle into 2 equal parts, the equivalent fraction is 1/2, or 1/2. This lesson helped you understand fractions. This lesson was brought to you by the Math Fun Academy. Its continuing mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new math and new equations, to boldly go where no math student has gone before.